I'm having a tough time. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the North Brunswick Township Board of Education. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris, Miss James,
Present.
Miss Keefe,
Here.
Mr. Ligori,
Here.
Dr. Patel,
Here.
Miss Toad,
Here.
Mr. Wen,
Here.
and Ms. Zulik.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend public meetings, attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, the public notice of this meeting, which included the time, date, and location, was distributed by 3 p.m. on Thursday, March 2nd, 2022, in the following manner. Posted on the bulletin board reserved for announcements in the board office, 25 Linwood Place, North Brunswick. Mailed to the Home News Tribune, Sentinel, and the clerk of the Township of North Brunswick. Delivered to the 9 duly elected board members. We will be having a presentation from Mr. Gary McCartney.
Welcome, Gary. Gary is here to talk about our strategic planning process, and then we'll continue and talk a little bit more about the strategic plan, which is on the agenda this evening. Is that on, Mr. McCartney?
I believe it is.
No, I think, see if the button needs to be pushed. I knew he was testing it a few minutes ago.
A green light
There.
went on.
Oh, there you go. I can hear you better now. Thank you.
You have concern about the strategic plan if I couldn't.
Fairly.
Under pressure, I found that little green light. Let me start out with a thank you. I am indeed thankful that I was able to be asked to do this work. I was fortunate enough to do your last strategic plan. I think I have a lot of knowledge about North Brunswick School District. And I know how much you work hard to make sure that students have really effective programs as well as great student opportunities. I believe that this strategic plan will allow the good work of the past to continue moving forward. Now, having said that, I'm going to invoke the words of Abraham Lincoln. This statement is attributed to him at some point in his presidential career. He said that the largest room in any organization is the room for improvement. The strategic plan is all about improvement. It's about trying to make sure that improvement is continuous in every organization. And so with that as a backdrop, what we set out to do was to examine the district. And to do that, we wanted more than just the opinions of the people who work here. So we developed a survey. Superintendent Soroka sent out email blasts throughout the community telling people we have a survey on the website and we very much would like your opinions, your thoughts, and your insights so that we can move forward as we plan from 2022 to 2025, that 3-year period, that we could begin putting together a plan that addresses both programs and opportunities for students. And so to do that, we set up a staff survey and solicited staff. We set up one for community members, and as I said, we asked them to participate. Well over 200 individuals completed the surveys, and we analyzed that data. But while we were doing that, we took about a month to gather that data. We also began to put together a stakeholders group. We called it the steering committee. And that steering committee sat in this room on 3 occasions and did lots of work. one of the very first things we did was to look at the mission statement of the district. Now, the mission statement, as most of you probably know, embodies our purpose. Why do we exist? Why is there a North Brunswick Township School District? And that's written in that mission statement. We wanted to make sure that the mission statement was as true to our purpose today as it has been in the past. And we believe, the committee felt that it was really on target. More than that, then, we began to look at our belief statements. Now, you might say, what are belief statements for? You know that the forerunner of every behavior is a thought. Before we act or do anything, we think about it. And when we act, it's consistent with what we believe. So our belief statements represent the culture of our school district. What is it that we want our school district to do for all the people that comprise it? And so we put forth our belief statements. They were adjusted and amended as the group saw fit. And so we have a group of belief statements that are connected to the mission statement, because our mission statement and belief statement need to work in tandem to make sure that we're consistent in how we work on behalf of programs and opportunities for our students. Then the next thing that we did was we looked at the current status of the school district. And the administration put together all of the necessary pieces that tell the story of where we are in terms of performance, in terms of opportunities. And we analyzed that to see how well we're doing what we're setting out to do. And we were able to ascertain that there are places that we're doing a really great job. And there were other places that we need to do a better job. And that helped us in terms of our planning. Then the next thing we did was to look at all of that data that the community survey brought in. We had staff survey data and community survey data, and I told you we had over 200 responses. We analyzed that data. We grouped that data. We discussed that data, and then we prioritized that data. We said, look, there's a lot here. We can't do absolutely everything that everybody would want us to do, but let's talk about what our highest priorities are. What are the most important things that we need to do? And we set out to create those priorities. We talked about those priorities to a great extent. And then we made them fit together into a plan. And you're going to hear about the plan. I've described the process of how we got to the plan, but the plan is the essence of what we hope will guide us for the next 3 years. And so if we could, Janet, if we could put the plan up, and I'll ask that you...
Yeah. There's that mission statement.
There is that mission statement that I alluded to that I believe is pretty time-honored.
Right, and that's what guides all of our work, and that's how we've always started all of our meetings with the mission statement, and that's how we do our planning, accompanying that, the thoughts of the fact that, the mission of the North Brunswick Township School District, in partnership with the community, is to create, inspire, and empower our students to meet the challenges and achieve successes. So we had 4 focus areas or guideposts in this plan: student learning and success, safe and supportive schools, finance and facilities, and community connections, culture and climate. So for year 1, these will all be broken out into more specific things, and in the plan that Mr. McCartney shared with the board, we shared with our strategic planning committee, there's some more details here, but these are the big general buckets. Analyze programs and supports for advanced students K-12, begin action teams to study foundational reading, writing, and mathematics, develop a plan to increase student opportunities and career pathways, expanded high school academies, visual and performing arts, and then budget for them. So, because obviously we made this plan and we're starting it first year 22-23, but we've already budgeted for this year. So most of the things that we're putting in for this year are planning and preparing, and we'll be budgeting for them in the future budget cycles. Ongoing curriculum review cycles, including cultural awareness analysis, continue training and rolling out of NJTSS, which is New Jersey Tiered Systems of Support Structures, and data teams at each school, which we've already actually embarked on that work, and we will continue that. Annually survey students at each school to ascertain knowledge of available services, needs, desires, and concerns, and safety considerations. Complete a comprehensive review of the school safety plan, facility readiness, security, staffing, and budget. And obviously, given the events in Uvalde and the state of the world these days, taking a full review of our entire safety plan is essential. Develop and implement a recruitment plan for diversification of staff and to expand hiring opportunities for staff. And that should include those hard-to-find teaching areas, such as perhaps physics or advanced math, or even woodworking classes that we had difficulty filling in the past. Long-term budget planning, capital improvement planning, review and amend where necessary class size guidelines, use of aids, and utilize that plan in a budget development for 23-24, and create a comprehensive plan for parent engagement, education, and communication. And then as we move into year 24 and year 2, which should be 23-24, I apologize about that. You'll see they become smaller because we're consolidating them and beginning to implement. So we'll be implementing the planned opportunities and career pathways, additional high school academies in visual and performing arts throughout the district. And that's not just at the high school level, it's at all levels. Implement recommended changes to foundational reading, writing, and mathematics with curriculum review of life skills instruction, including public speaking, money, home economics, etc., and those more culturally responsive units of study. Continue preparing additional AP teachers and modifying prerequisites for AP, and implement New Jersey tiered systems of support with fidelity. Implement school safety program enhancements. Upgrade MBTHS with particular attention for program expansion and the accommodation of specialty subjects and technology infrastructure, and implement a comprehensive plan for greater parent involvement, parent education, and communication. And year 3, so the numbers were mixed up, I apologize again. Year 3, again, is smaller, and it's assessment of those things that we've been implementing. Early assessment of instructional impact on foundational reading, writing, and mathematics changes. Evaluate for evidence of cultural awareness. Progress monitor for implementation of New Jersey tiered system of supports. Implement life skill opportunities. Implement culturally responsive units of study. Can implement and evaluate continuous safety assessments in finance and facility, continue budgeted upgrades, and continue parent-family engagement approach, gathering data and analyzing feedback. And then equity is an important thread that is woven throughout all of the activities here in this plan. Technology is infused where appropriate instructionally and infrastructurally throughout all the years of the plan. And as we flesh out this plan, once it gets board approved, we begin to assign responsibility and creation of final action steps, and who'll be implementing these pieces and measurable data pieces as well. Anything else, Mr. McCarthy?
I think that says a lot, and while that read fairly quickly, there is an awful lot of work that was encompassed by those 3 years. And the beauty is that that first year gives us an opportunity to begin that work in earnest, and the second year, a lot of implementation, and the third year gives us an opportunity to see how well we're doing what we said we were going to do. So I think it's an impressive way to go, and the work is really focused on the beliefs of all the people who participate in the survey, as well as our steering committee, some of whom are here tonight, and I failed to ask them to identify by raising their hands who they are.
Yes, I know Mrs. Shadid and Mrs. Passner are both here. Anybody else in this group? And I know Ms. Toth, our board member and board president, who's not here this evening, Mr. Harris, was also on the committee, and Amy Kita as well. So we do look forward to working with our board staff, students, and community to really implement this new plan and really elevate the success of MBT schools and students, because I think it has a lot of potential to make that happen. Thank you there. Anybody else? Any other comments from board members? Thank you. And then we can continue to proceed ahead on the remainder of our agenda.
Ms. Toth, can you take item number 6, please?
Absolutely. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following board minutes. Conference meeting, June 8th, 2022. Executive minutes, June 8th, 2022. Regular public meeting, June 22nd, 2022. And executive minutes, June 22nd, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All the minutes have been accepted.
Any communications?
No communications. I have my administrative report. So good evening, again, board members, parents, community members here in person, and those viewing online. Our Summer Academy, Institute, Transition, and Extended School Year programs are underway at NBTHS, NBTMS, Judd School, and NBTECC. Everyone thought that things got quiet over the summer. They really don't. These programs are all in person and have been running smoothly and providing strong academic support for students within a fun and challenging program. Summer Academy actually wraps up tomorrow, July 28th, and Extended School Year wraps up on August 5th. MBT Schools was proud to have hosted the Marissa Rose Bowl, the All-Star Charity Game, on Thursday, July 21st at our own Steve Lebrow Field. Despite the really hot temperatures, attendance was strong, and it was terrific to see so many out to support a great cause. I'd like to thank Coach Mike Sipot, our internal team, and the North Brunswick Township Police Department for providing security support. Please check our website for job openings, teaching positions, lunch aides, substitutes, class aides. There are always many openings, and we encourage local community members to take advantage and apply for those positions. Please also to remember to check the calendar update that was approved at the June meeting that adjusted the first day of school for our students from August 31st to September 1st. We added an extra day for students to the summer. In preparation for the first day of school on September 1st, our principals are working on orientation and student schedules. Please continue to check the website for information as we move through August. And finally, we wish you to enjoy the rest of the summer and continue to watch for those Kimvo notices and updates on our district website. That's it for my administrative report.
Thank you very much. I don't believe there's any committee reports for the month.
There are not.
Ms. Zola, can you take number 9, please?
Yes. A motion to approve the administrative, student, and committee reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All the reports are accepted.
Great. We're going to review the current agenda items. We'll roll through all the pages, and then after that, we'll go to public session.
For those who are guests this evening, we have what's called a consent agenda, which all the board members have seen, and we have discussed items previously on this agenda, so they are all aware of them, but we do review it one more time prior to voting on it.
I'll go page by page. Starts at page number 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14, 15 and 16, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24, up to item 14.
Mr. Vice President, if I could, just to point out one thing on tonight's agenda.
Sure.
We didn't have a Business Operations Committee meeting this month, but of note, on page 16, items C through G are expenditures of which we've spoken about in committee and in this public session in the past month or a couple months now, pertaining to the grant funding for our playgrounds, for the preschools, the improvements to our food service areas at the high school, and the kitchen HVAC project, which is getting underway as well. So just of note of that on page 16 tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Woodward. So at the current time, we will open up the public session on agenda items only. Just real quick, our policy number 167 pertaining to public participation. A participant may be recognized by the presiding officer and must announce his or her name at the time, the municipality of residence, and the group affiliation. Each member is allowed to speak for a 3-minute duration, and no participant may speak more than once on the same topic until all have been spoken. So just a couple of our rules for public speaking. So when you come to the podium there, make sure you use the microphone so it gets recorded, and also put your name and address. I think it's name and address, right?
Yeah, believe
Name
so.
and address on the sheet. So sign in when you do speak, and you're given 3 minutes. So if anybody would like to approach the podium about consent agenda items.
Yeah, should be on.
Okay, thank you. I'm Mark Rosen. I'm here to talk about agenda item 1D. I just want to start by saying this is I've been a resident of North Brunswick for the past 20 years. I've been a coach in the rec leagues here, and for the past 5 years, been a proud parent of the high school band and music program. I haven't been asked by any staff or anybody else who late to the board to come here. Rather, I'm simply here as a parent, asking the board and the school district to support my son and his classmates by exhausting all possible avenues to reinstate Paul Bon Jovi as a percussion instructor for the high school marching band and award-winning winter percussion ensemble. Now, for those who don't know, I understand the state has put guidelines in place for instructors certain qualifications they can have, but unfortunately, Paul doesn't meet those. However, I do understand from reading that a waiver is possible if the individual has all the relevant and applicable experience associated with that position. Now, I know you've spoken to some of you, and if you don't already know, Paul has been with these programs for more than 30 years here at North Brunswick. And during this time, he's led the Winter Percussion Ensemble to 16 championships, during which 12 of those seasons they were undefeated across the board. And if that in and of itself is not enough to explicitly qualify as applicable experience, quite frankly, I don't know what it is. Because Paul is also, on top of that, he's been involved in drum corps since the 70s. He's actually in the World Drum Corps Hall of Fame. And those credentials, with his experience here building up the program, as well as that, is more credentials that any number of college credits, certificates, or licenses could provide. I think we all agree, and I think we all should think that we're lucky to have him on staff. I think North Brunswick has a great music program, and Paul has been obviously an important part of that. I fear, as a parent, that with all due respect to the current staff, who are great, especially in high school, that these programs will suffer because he will not be around to give the focus that these kids deserve. And even to the extent that the Winter Percussion Ensemble may actually cease to exist, at least at the level at which they're currently performing. So I'm not going to say what it means to the students. We've got plenty of students who want to come up and speak to you about that shared experience. But I can say that in all the years I've been volunteering and giving my time to these programs, I've seen the immense pride and camaraderie and respect that each of these students have for Paul. And I do understand that the district has already done a lot of work trying to get a waiver both here and at the county level. And I'm willing to say myself, and I speak for some other parents, are willing to provide any support that this board and the district needs to help move that forward. So once again, as a parent, what I do is I implore you, do not let these kids down. Let's work together to get all the needs needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosen. I know you can hear the passion in your voice and the deep respect for this staff member. And we on the board, myself included, also share that respect. We value our music program tremendously. And, unfortunately, we have to abide by the rules and regulations of the state of New Jersey. And, we will certainly use this passion that you have. If, we can continue to support you as you want to do a letter writing campaign, but our hands are tied in terms of reinstating him at this time.
So let me, I'm the board attorney. Other people who don't usually necessarily come to these meetings, it's nice to see you all here. I rarely as the board attorney do I hear as much praise as to a particular staff member as I've heard for Mr. Bon Jovi. It's not the type of thing that necessarily comes out in conversations between the staff and me, but this is the type of thing that I usually tell the board, we got to be careful. We talk about personnel matters. We don't speak them publicly, but I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of agreement between the last speaker and the administration, who are the ones who are charged with making these recommendations. In as much as, I think there's this general desire to keep Mr. Bon Jovi and working, we have, like Mr. Roca said, some requirements that the board absolutely, there are some certain dark lines that we cannot go beyond. And the idea of a certification is obviously the biggest concern for us. And this isn't just for one staff member. This is for all staff members. They have to have a certification. And so without getting into too much detail about the specific employee here, the board has to comply with state law. That being said, I think it's fair to say that the board will continue to do everything it possibly can, okay, to, not to say we don't, hear from as many of you as possible on this issue, but the board will do exactly what you're asking it to do, which is to do everything we possibly can to fulfill your concerns and your wishes. But that is assuming that there's a legal avenue, and at this point, we have not found it. I understand there's this suggestion of a waiver. That's not something that we think is applicable. It's not up to us. It's up to the Department of Education. So I know that Mr. Roca has done extensive research with our firm, with my partner. I know that they talked about it. We will continue to do everything we possibly can to look into this. But unfortunately, there are some things that just aren't possible where there's a very clear line. And unfortunately, this we believe is one of them. So, I don't know if Janet, do you want to add anything else?
I just really want to thank everybody here who has their passion and shows their love for this staff member. I mean, that means a tremendous amount. And our music program, we have been so proud of that. And I see family members here who I've known from when I was at Livingston Park. And, we know how much music has been part of everybody's lives and how important this is. So, it's wonderful that you have come here to show your support and your care for a staff member. And I know that means a lot to him as well. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dhruv Shah, and I'm a recent graduate of UTHS and was the valedictorian of because Paul Bon Jovi, the high school percussion instructor, was recently terminated due to a new policy mandating all teachers have a certain number of college credits in order to teach. But I do want to continue with everyone else's statements too, just for the record. I was a student of Paul's for all 4 years at MBTHS, and I was the drumline secretary for 2 of those years. And I couldn't even tell you the enormous impact he has had on me and so many of my peers. Not only has he led our group to winning over 15 championships, but he has also built an environment of inclusivity, grit, and laughter. He pushes us to be our best and expects nothing less. Personally, he has taught me so many life lessons and has made me a better musician, and his lack of college credits doesn't change that. Undoubtedly, the music program at North Brunswick would not be the same without him. It would be a disservice to North Brunswick students to not be taught by Paul. That is why I, along with my fellow peers, am urging the Board of Education to do everything in your power to allow Paul to continue teaching and inspiring students at MBTHS. Thank you.
Thank you.
if I can, again, I just want to, there are a number of ways that, non-certificated staff members can actually interact with students, but there's also other requirements. I mean, in other words, I just want to make sure it's really clear to the students, they understand that exactly what is your valedictorian's name? Mr. Shaw. And Mr. Shaw? Yeah, very impressive. I just think that I want you all to be aware that do everything we can. You have, as the board attorney, I'll just tell you that we will do everything we can, and we'll continue to. I think the fear we have is that we already have done everything we can, but we will continue to. So, as you speak, please keep this in mind that the board is on your side here. The law is structured in a way that makes it difficult for us.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Liam Rosen, and I'm an incoming senior at MBTHS and one of the captains of the MBTHS drumline. I've had the opportunity to be a member of the drumline under percussion instructor Paul Bongiovi for almost 5 years now, and I'm just one of many that he's impacted for the better through my time. Through his time at MBTHS. Throughout my time under Paul, he has constantly pushed me and everyone else to be the best musicians we could be. In regards to numbers, as everybody else has already said, under his direction, the MBTHS Winter Percussion Ensemble has had 12 undefeated seasons and brought 16 championships to our town in its 19 years of competition. This is no doubt due to the incredible abilities that Paul Bongiovi has in instructing percussion and helping the students to reach their full potential. In addition to making us the best performers we could, though, he's also made an effort to instill these three main values into me and every single one of his students: drive, community, and a passion for music. First, for drive, anyone that might stumble into a rehearsal for winter percussion will easily pick up that Paul cultivates a hard-working environment with everyone striving towards a common goal, to play and sound the best we can. Oftentimes that might require going over the same 8 measures for upwards of 20 minutes, but through that, he has instilled in me the importance of an internal drive to consistently work hard, no matter how difficult, to achieve great things. Next, the importance of community. Paul's always said that percussion isn't just a club or an activity, it's a family. And walking into winter percussion in 8th grade for the first time, it was evident to me this exact sense of family that he has helped create within the drumline. When they weren't working through music, the upperclassmen who I saw as so old at the time were all hanging out and joking around with each other, and they welcomed me in with open arms, and some of them are even here today. And now that I am that upperclassman, I can say that most of my closest friends are people that I met in percussion or have become closer with as a result, and I'm sure countless others would say the same. The last value I'd like to mention is a passion for music. On top of his role as percussion instructor at MBTHS, Paul is an accomplished performer and instructor outside of the school. He acts as director for the Hawthorne Cavalieros Alumni Drum and Bugle Corps and has been inducted into both the New Jersey and World Drum Corps Army. This passion for music is something that I know he's been able to instill in me personally. Under his direction, winter percussion and marching band have allowed me to explore a deep interest in music and mallet percussion that I hope to continue even after high school, whether in college marching band, drum corps, or otherwise. I believe that the North Brunswick music program would not be the same without him. Therefore, I ask the board to do a service to the entire North Brunswick community by doing everything you can to help Paul Bongiovi be reinstated as percussion instructor at MBTHS. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Andrew Meneses Diaz, and I am a student here at MBTHS. I'm also a proud member of the MBTHS marching band of the MBTHS Winter Percussion. Our winter percussion program is one of the pride and joys here at the music department at MBTHS. I'm going to have to reiterate what everyone else said, but we've already won 16 regional championships and had 12 undefeated seasons, including our previous 2021 to 2022 season. We pride ourselves in our ability to perform a great and entertaining show. Being a part of this group is a truly exceptional experience. None of these records could have ever been obtainable, however, without the help of one man, and that man is Paul Bon Jovi, our beloved percussion instructor. Paul is a man whose technical skill and musical prowess remains unrivaled. Paul is a man whose smile and guidance would push us to new heights every single rehearsal and competition. Paul is a man whose dedication for his craft is only exceeded by his dedication for his students. In my 11 years I have spent learning in North Brunswick Township High School, I have never met someone who has inspired me as much as Paul has. When I think about Paul, I have nothing but admiration and gratitude for all he has done for me. He has been a role model, a teacher, a protector, a mentor, and a friend. He has made sure every last kid was included and reminded us to stick together because we were a family. Without a shadow of a doubt, Paul is the crown jewel in our percussion program, which brings me to why I'm speaking here tonight. Recently, as we've discussed, Paul Bon Jovi was terminated from his position due to a policy put into place dictating all teachers must have a certain amount of college credits to teach. His absence has already begun to have an impact on the music program, and in the case of his permanent removal, our music program would be left with a hole I am convinced we could never fill. Members of the board, I urge you to do everything in your power, as we have discussed. Please give us back our beloved percussion instructor, for the sake of our music program and for the sake of my peers. We need Paul because Paul isn't just a teacher. Paul is family. Thank you.
I just have to, sorry to be a wet blanket here. I've got to clarify one thing. I've heard it twice now, and I want to be really clear. The board is not terminating Mr. Bon Jovi. I just want to make sure that's very clear. They had to, by law, they had to rescind his employment, but that's not a termination. A termination implies there's some sort of firing going on. As we explained, we agree with you in terms of the impact he's had on your lives and wish that this wasn't an issue. Wish that you could be home doing other things and enjoying your summer and not feeling like you have to address you. But we enjoy hearing you, and it's obviously it shows how impressive this school district is.
I don't know if this works, but hello everyone. My name is Olivia and I'm going to be a senior. I am the secretary of the drum line, and one of the most important documents that I need to have as the secretary is our list of awards. May I hand this out to you?
Sure. You can put it in the minutes.
Yeah, why don't you just give this, we can pass it down.
Yeah.
Thank you. So unfortunately for us, successes of our drum line are not commonly known, but that does not make them any less impressive. North Brunswick Township Percussion Ensemble is one of the best in the state. In the 19 seasons we've had since 2004, we won a regional championship 16 times and have 12 undefeated seasons. All of this was due to the amazing instructional skills of Paul Bon Jovi. To my knowledge, there is no clear replacement for Paul. I'm worried that without one, our award-winning winter percussion will be unable to practice and compete this year. And even if you were to find a replacement for Paul, it would be impossible to find someone with over 30 years of experience and that has won 16 regional championships for North Brunswick. I'm sure you all know that often the arts are overlooked. But North Brunswick prides itself on being one of the best communities for music education, which are words that are plastered on a poster in our band room. I've taken many band and orchestra classes throughout my time in North Brunswick, but nothing could compare to the past 3 years I've been in winter percussion. Specifically, Paul taught us how to be performers and have a stage presence. By making us play and exercise until we got it perfect, he taught us endurance and showed us that practice really does make perfect. I've never put as much hard work into anything as I put into last year's competition show. No AP test or final exam ever got as much effort out of me as our show did. Winter percussion has been the most fun activity I've done in high school, and I worry that without Paul it will be unable to happen this year. When the pandemic happened, being able to go to winter percussion was one of the only things that kept me going. When we had to have marching band rehearsals virtually, Paul would always be on the other side of the screen, going to each and every one of us and asking us how we were and how our families were doing. To my knowledge, the only thing stopping Paul from teaching us this year is not a law, not a rule, but simply a change in policy put in place by a pilot program that is still in its infancy. It is clear that this policy has not been well received by the public, so I urge you all to waive this requirement for teaching credits and allow Paul Bon Jovi to continue teaching at METHS. And like you said, I know it's a very difficult thing, but I appreciate your efforts in helping us with this issue. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Xavier Moore. I recently graduated from METHS. I found out on July 12th, around 2 weeks ago, that Paul Bon Jovi was done teaching at the high school percussion. The new policy made it sure that you have to have a certain amount of college credits for you to be able to teach. I've known Paul ever since 8th grade. Even though I wasn't in marching band, he's helped me tremendously. Whether it was that my trombone angle was bad or that I needed to march in time, he has been extremely helpful. When playing in percussion, he had open arms and let me play the xylophone. Even though I didn't know how to play it well, he has given me the tools to advance my music career. I went from knowing a few scales to playing a show that was rated grade 6, which is one of the hardest pieces you can ever play. That same year, we won TIA championships in Scholastic Open Standstill with a score of 93.3. Not only that, but out of the 19 seasons we've had, as stated before, we've won 16 championships and gone 12 seasons undefeated, including the past season where we got the highest score out of everyone at championships. Every single one of Paul's students can say that he changed our lives for the better. Paul has been such an amazing leader to me, and I've decided to major in music in college. I truly think that Paul was one of the main reasons I've stuck with music. Him not going to college doesn't change the fact that we're all amazing musicians. This music program would not be the same without Paul, and I hope that the Board of Education can allow Paul to teach these students. Thank you so much.
I'm an incoming senior at METHS, along with one of the drumline captains. I'm here today because of the removal of our instructor, Paul Bundy. I joined the marching band my 8th grade year, and I learned a lot, but the reason I stayed was because of Paul. He's a teacher that every school needs. He treated us like family, and we learned more and became better players because of him. We had many undefeated winter seasons as stated before, and we learned a lot from him, and we became much better players. We loved his teaching style, and he inspired us, and that made us strive to be better players. I personally have learned many life lessons along with the skills from Paul, and the future generation will be able to receive these if the requirement is not complete. The work that Paul has done to make us better players and better people cannot be measured, and it's our job to give the privilege to future generations. So I ask the Board of Education to waive this requirement and reinstate our teacher Paul so we can continue to grow and flourish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ruhi, and I'm a rising senior at NBTHS. I'm currently one of the captains of our drumline, and since I've been involved in it since 8th grade, I have developed a very close bond with Paul. Today, I would like to talk to you all about who Paul Weinberg really is and what he means to me. Paul is someone I look up to, I rely on him, I depend on him, and his dedication and passion for teaching is truly admirable. I can talk to him about anyone or anything, and I can expect him to have my back no matter what the situation. There is no other teacher or coach I have ever come across that gets involved with students so personally and makes everyone feel welcome to the family. Not only that, but for several years, Paul has unlocked the musical potential of students who may not have even touched percussion before, as they all mentioned, and made them a critical part of an award-winning show. He has the most percussion experience I've ever seen as a drumline director, and in fact, students that he taught in the past came back to become band teachers for the township. Paul has essentially created and paved a huge part of our music program at North Brunswick, and without him, our school would not even be half as acknowledged as it is today. His connections and experience are absolutely unparalleled. He has been in and taught professional drumlines and in no way lacks credentials or experience to be a teacher at North Brunswick. The bottom line is we're just asking you to take this issue seriously and try your best and do everything in your power to appeal to the state and try to get it waived, specifically for Paul. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, parents, and students. My name is Sheetal Shah. I'm one of the parents. My daughter was Deepika Shah. Sorry, it is. She's been in marching band and winter percussion since 8th grade. I think that's an awesome opportunity that North Brunswick allows 8th graders to join the high school marching band and winter percussion to begin with. So I think that's a great opportunity. And having an instructor like Paul, who has 30 years of experience, isn't there any way we can get him grandfathered in? Any way possible. With 30 years of experience, having that equate on to something else. I know what you've been saying.
If there's a way, we will figure it out. I promise you, if there's a way, we will figure it out. And we've tried, and unfortunately, we would not have been taking this action. But I don't want to interrupt your time.
No. So my main thing is, with his 30 years of experience, us parents loving him so much for what he's brought in our kids, we got to do something. I mean, that's why you've already heard the repetition of the championships and everything. This is my different point of view. We need to find that loophole and just keep him here. That's it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anisha, and I'm a rising freshman at North Brunswick Township High School. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us speak about someone who is near and dear to our hearts. I have only been a part of the drumline for one winter percussion season, as I am a rising freshman. My main instrument isn't even a percussion instrument. Yet I was welcomed without a hesitation and called taught me percussion from scratch. I had to read new types of notes, hold a different instrument, and learn it well enough to execute it in competitions. I was able to do my job nearly perfectly, all because of Paul. If that's not an admirable quality in a teacher, then I don't know what is. Paul brought a name to the school in 20 plus years of teaching, and to take that away from us and him because of a lack of college credits is unfair. Paul not only taught us, but he brought us all together as a family. So much so that the drumline would be in tears on the last rehearsal, listening to the heartwarming speeches and letting the seniors go. Paul didn't make music a burden, but something we would look forward to in our week. He's also had countless experiences in the outside world, including being in a professional drumline and teaching them, which means he is more than qualified in terms of experience. With all this experience, his 20 years plus in teaching, and our award history, why is it that his ability to teach is still being doubted? We hope that you will do everything possible to help us get this gem to our music program back.
Good evening, everybody. I am Gangadhara Vakalveda. I know most of you probably know me, but there's folks who don't. So I have a two-pager again. I'm going to read that. Basically, asking all of you to see what can be done, because it's your school district, it's our school district. You see all the kids here. They have rallied for Paul, and we strongly feel about it. So, is there a way we can go to the state or to any level that you want us, our support will be there, right? So we want you to help us, we'll help you. So how can we?
Thank you. And I would definitely say, one thing for you to do would be maybe you and Mr. Rosen, the students, gather together your letters, right?
Sure.
And, then we'll work with you to see who we can get them to and have some conversations with them. And I know you had some other thoughts.
There may, okay, so we talked about finding a way, right? So there is no legal mechanism that we can find right now, even with the idea of the waiver and everything else, where this individual would be able to supervise an in-school or school-related activity. However, there's a lot of very motivated people here. There seems to be motivated families. There may, there are scenarios where there are sort of out-of-school activities that could potentially be conducted that are not related to specifically to your role as members of the band. Remember, this is not a teaching position. This is a advisor position. And so similar to, and I use a sports analogy only because the advisor positions and coaching positions come up quite often, as a former board member knows. One of the things that we sometimes see, for example, are school, I'll just use a softball team that, can't hire or doesn't hire a batting coach, like a batting training coach, but the booster club comes together, raises money, and then the kids separately, unrelated to the fact that they're it's not a team event, it's a private event, it's sort of a private thing. So there may be a way for you, obviously, to work with him that way, but obviously I presume, and without getting too deep into it, that he'd want to be compensated for it. He can always volunteer, but he can't volunteer even on school property based on the issue that we have. So there'd have to be there's a number of issues that we've worked through. I'm not going to get into too much detail because then we do potentially run afoul of personnel concerns. We've had some, I understand, I haven't had, but the administrators have had some in-depth conversations with him, but there could be a way, but unfortunately, it cannot be related to the school activity itself. It'd have to be something private and separate, and there's nothing that stops volunteers from figuring out a way to do that.
Yeah, but I think that would be the same as he.
It could be, it could be, but.
Championships, I think it needs to be in the school.
Okay, well, I don't know, I don't know, last time I played drums was at Livingston Park School, and I was in 6th grade. And it didn't go.
He wasn't very good.
I stopped there, but I appreciate what you're saying, Mr. Vecchiola, and I understand what everybody's saying here, the board understands it. You said if there's a way to do it, we'll try to figure it out, I just don't know if there is a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a timeline maybe when we can?
Well, I think what Mr. Roca is saying, that if you gather your documents and your support letters, it looks like a lot of the kids were reading off of either pieces of paper or maybe their phones, which is totally fine also.
Excellent persuasive essays, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, so if nothing else, it's great
Really
to hear you
impressed,
all.
Anna.
But maybe print those out, even if you read them from your phone, or email them to the superintendent or Ms. Kita, and we'll provide them to the county office.
Maybe Mr. Rosa, you guys could coordinate with your drum line
Right,
and
so
then
there's
get them
not
all
30
together, and then
emails,
we
just
can
one.
pass them
Yeah,
along
that would be
to
helpful, and obviously, again,
connections.
if there's a way, then if there is a way to do it, it will be done, it seems. But I just, I want to make sure that you guys, that we're putting our focus in the right place.
Absolutely.
And then I think it's.
We're proud of the music department here at the school district.
We are too,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I want to be clear, I don't want to, I think the board's really, they're supportive of everything you're saying. The issue is if there's a way, and unfortunately, that's the concern. No one wants to give you unrealistic expectations, which is an important piece here. We don't promise you something that can't happen, especially since we believe at this point that it can't. and that's what we've been saying so far.
So with going to the county, maybe that helps us?
Again,
do you think?
we'll-
You-
I've reached out, I left a message, people,
Okay.
it's summertime, sometimes people are not available, and nobody's gotten back to me yet, but I will be following up with them and somebody at the Department of Ed.
Sorry, but we don't want to make it too late that, we probably point of no return, we want to go there. We want to make sure we proactively go and get the.
Right, but if, a couple of you reach out tomorrow, we'll coordinate some things, okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And again, I think it's really important just to acknowledge all the students and parents who came out tonight. Your civility, your respect, and your passion. That's what coming to a board meeting and speaking is all about. And we really appreciate that, and we appreciate how much this meant to you and your advocacy for it. So whether we can make it happen or not, just know that that's an important lesson for you guys as well. So thank you.
Well, good evening. My name is Mark McGrath. I am a resident here in North Brunswick for 35 years. All 3 of my kids have graduated from the system here in town, and 6 of my 7 grandchildren are involved in the school system right now. We realize, and so I'm not a parent of anybody in this. I'm a grandparent. Maybe that's the worst combination. But we realize that in many ways your hands are tied. There are regulations, and your job is to represent in 2 directions. You have to represent the state and you have to represent the students. And good luck. And I'm certain that you spend, a good 5 minutes a year thinking about how to do that. But I'd like to suggest that all that these wonderful students and parents have tried to do in the light of the realities is add motivation, right? I mean, that we realize that in the ongoing affairs of life, things can go away. This won't. And I'd like to add perhaps one more piece of motivation for you, perhaps, and that is your mission statement. I only saw it for a few minutes today, but it struck me that your mission statement as a board is to enable students to rise above the challenges and move towards success. If there's any indication that this program aligns perfectly with your mission, these people here. They have faced a challenge, but not just in this moment of critical decision-making, but these students spend dozens of hours a week learning new music, learning new routines, and it doesn't matter if they're tired, they have learned the discipline that is required to be a success. This is the product of a program and that fulfills your mission. And I would suggest to you that fulfilling your mission in an atypical manner with an uncertified facilitator is better than not fulfilling your mission with a certified nobody.
Hello, check. Is this working? You guys hear me? My name is Nick Moss.
Sir,
I've been
if you could just sign in.
Sign in, please.
And you also, I know,
You got a pen?
I know you seem like the kind of guy who can talk to a big crowd. I appreciate that, but you've got to address the chair. So if you could just speak this way, it'd be great.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
You You gotta use a mic.
My name is Nick Macchio.
You gotta use a mic because it's all recorded.
Mr. Macchio,
Yeah, because it's all recorded, otherwise it doesn't get picked
That's
up
not
on
the reason. It's gotta be picked
And
up.
then when you watch yourself on Channel 15 tomorrow, you won't be able to hear yourself, so please do yourself a favor.
My name is Nick Macchio. I've been with Paul for 2.5 years. But I'm not here to talk about me, I'm here to talk about Paul, right? Can I step up here?
No. You sit down. No, you can't.
I have to be below you.
No, you have to be addressing in the way that everybody else has to address.
So, can I ask you a question? Has anyone here been to a winter percussion performance?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
There you go. Did you enjoy it?
Absolutely.
And so you can speak for the passion and the commitment that all of us here have put into the program, right? Including Paul.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mr. Bush, you are the board attorney, correct?
I am, but can you just make your comments and then afterwards we can address what you're saying? Yes, I'm the board attorney. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
I know, but
So-
it's fine, and it's totally cool that you're talking to us, and we want to hear what you have to say, but you've got, I understand, but this is not like questions for the entire Board of Education. You can address the chair like I asked, and you can also speak to us, and then if you have questions in that, we'll try to do our best to answer them.
Sorry, am I not allowed to ask questions?
That's not what I said. You can ask questions, and we want to hear your questions, we want to answer them, but we
Just
want,
not now?
we want to treat you like we treat everybody else, so just ask your questions. Go ahead. Go ahead, ask your questions.
I don't understand. So I can ask my question, right? How long have you been the board attorney?
Keep going. Keep asking your questions. I'm not going to answer your questions as you go.
Oh, you're not going to answer them? Okay. Sorry. So I'm sure you look like a pretty young guy, right? So I'm sure you haven't been the board attorney for, say, 30 years, right? But I'm sure you went to college, you went to school, you got your credits, and that's how you got that job, right? So Paul has spent 30 years of his life, 30 years. Some people don't even live to 30, right? So he spent 30 years of his life. He put his passion, his effort, his energy, all of his power into this one job, this position that he earned. He earned it, right? He put 30 years into that. Do you understand what 30 years? I don't. I know I can confidently say that I don't. But do you understand what 30 years of someone's life, working for something for 30 years, do you understand what that takes? Do you understand what that means? This was his life. This was his passion. This was his joy. This was his purpose. And now it's being taken away because of some bureaucratic bullshit.
Okay, watch your language, okay?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, watch your language, okay? This is a Board of this is a Board of Education
Yeah,
meeting,
right,
so just
okay,
asking you,
okay,
listen.
I thought you weren't going to talk. Now you're talking.
I'm asking you to maintain some
This is my
civility.
time.
I'm asking you, listen, Nick,
He put
Nick,
30 years into it. It was his life. It was his
If you-
joy. He had passion. This is everything that he lives for. Okay? And it's being taken away. Now you're saying, oh, we did everything we could do. Oh, we can't do anything else. We're out of options here.
We're not trying to be controversial. I'm trying to work with them.
Right, okay. You can always do more. Make the calls, write the emails, do what you need to do. You're sitting here saying, oh, we did everything, you know. You can always do more, okay? And this is someone's life. You're talking about someone's life.
3 minutes.
Okay?
thank you, your time is over.
Thank you.
Hello? Is this working?
It's not. So,
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kayla Keith. I'm very bad at public speaking, but actually Paul has taught me to become more confident. I won't just repeat absolutely everything that's been said, but I just want to make it known that we're all trying to be very respectful, and we appreciate everything you guys are doing. We just really care about Paul, about what he's done for this program, and we want to try to do as much as we can to help you guys and help whoever we need to get Paul reinstated or grandfathered in or something. He's personally taught me. I've only been in the band for 1 year, and still I feel like I've learned more just from that 1 year than elementary school when I tried for like 3 years to do violin. So he's just, Paul's really the best. He's really created a family throughout percussion, winter percussion, you know. He's just made us all feel welcome and really safe in the environment he's created. All I really want to say is that he's one of the best, most professional, highly respected men I know, and just we appreciate anything you guys can do and anything you guys can let us know to do to help get him back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? One final call? Okay. Mr. Liguori, can you take item number 12?
Mr. Vice President, I make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This portion of the meeting is closed.
Ms. Patel, can you take item 13, please?
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following consent agenda items: personnel, curriculum, miscellaneous, finance items 1 to 4, and transportation.
Second.
Mr. Brockman?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Ms. Keefe?
Yes.
Mr. Liguori?
Yes.
Dr. Patel?
Yes.
Ms. Toth?
Yes.
Mr. Wen?
Yes.
And Ms. Zolik?
Yes.
All of the motions have been accepted and approved.
Now we come to the public session on any matter. The mic is open. No?
This is for any matter
Sorry.
not on the agenda.
Time's up.
Sorry, still time.
Not tonight.
Okay. Seeing none, can, Ms. Keefe, can you take item 14, please?
Yes, Mr. Vice President. I would like to make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This public session is closed.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presented exist, now therefore be it resolved by the North Brunswick Township Board of Education that the public shall be excluded from the discussion and action upon the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows: legal matters. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Sorry.
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We may go into closed session.
All right, we are on the air.
Mr. Nguyen, can I get number 16, please?
Sure, I can make a motion that the meeting be returned to open session.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are back in session.
Great. Ms. James, can you take item 17?
Sure. Okay. I move that the meeting be adjourned at 8:39 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Did you get on that one, Rosa? It was a tie.
Someone else would take it. I took the first one, the first second. No one was saying.
The first second.
The first second.